still a bit of a... He's playing who? Tennyson. Tennyson. This is Tim Thompson. Tim T. Taylor. Still a bit of play 7 and 8. 12, 13, so if I give them Taylor. Taylor no. Who's the next two? Lennon. Against Adrian Lennon. Lennon played Moon, played Tim. Lennon played... Didn't play Adrian Lennon, did they? Because Adrian Lennon played... D. Adrian Adrian everything. 2, 3, 6. 2 birds. Good thing. Table 8. Table 8. Table 8. Yeah, this is table 9. Table 8. Next, Matt Slade. He's playing Dylan Brown. Matt Slade. Matt Slade. Dylan Brown. Next, next slide. So it's Jennifer Lillard. Versus American Guest. So they're going to be there. Versus Jennifer. So who's going to be a good little table if they were to be there for the flip? Peterson said. No. I know that's him. I know that's Peter. So that's it. A bit below. Some wishes to touch your champions. Yeah. 10, 5, That's the McLean Edmonds. So 2. So who's that with 2 no goes? No. 3 no goes, isn't it? Something's going on here. Metrocoda Bank. Goes no baby. So Peter, Metrocoda Bank, no baby, played Colin Bryant. We then played Peter. We then played the Mets. So no baby. So versus that's going 2, isn't it? So Ledger Cumberland versus L. So the Ledger's played for 6, 8 and 6. And Red's played 5, 8 and 10. So that's a got me 2, didn't it? So she had 2 goes left. 3 goes left. Good luck. Shandrit, Clem, Shandrit, and Shandrit. So Shandrit. It's playing Clem Blade. Smith and Merton Nicholas. No, that's Smith. Have they played before? I don't think so. So Merton, that's a villain. Merton played Metsland. Merton played John Hill. That's it. Left. So they put a play with it. That was no. 10 steps. And 2, 3, 4, 5, obviously. That looks like the last, doesn't it? But that's orange. We do allegedly have a live stream. Have you? It's not a recording of the replay. It says it's live. We've got further buildings and then we've got this. So can you see the code? Yeah. Yeah, that's what they said. Oh. So if they just get the camera back up there, then good to go. He had a winning draw, so when he was at 8-0, so that's nothing, and Danny's got that as a home signer. So can Peter be beaten? Yes. Oh yeah. Oh, right. So whoever wins this has won it. Unless they draw and then somebody else. So there are lots of people who could. So really, could even Robin win it? Yeah. That's not bad, is it? That's good. Peter's said I've played a few times now. Yeah. Right, so turn it in again. I think you might have done there
Okay, just got the one microphone now. Okay, we are live streaming again. Sorry for the technical fault. We don't know what caused it and we don't know why it happened, but we seem to have managed to get back onto it. Just to update you with where we've got to, current top of the charts is Peter Riding with the Tang Army, and second is Sid Bennett Parthian. So we've got a clash of the world champions at table 1, and we will be bringing you that battle. You can see in the table at the corner they're currently considering which of the battlefields they'd like to fight over. So the player who wins the scouting chooses which 3 of the 5 they would like to fight over, and then they pass it to their opponent who chooses which 1 out of the 5 they would like to fight over. And that's then passed back to the player who won the scouting, who will then decide which side of the battle. So there we are. Peter has chosen that one, and Sid will now choose which side of that battlefield he would like to have. And then we'll have the deployments in the battle. I'm just going to upload the table side camera so that you can get a good view of the armies. As I said, this is a clash of the champions. They're top of the table and they have both previously won this competition. It's going to be see who wins today.
Are you live?
I am live.
Do we know what the points are?
Sorry,
Do we know what the points are?
yes.
That's on the screen, is it?
Yep. So, oh yes, I can tell you because it's published to the world, isn't it? I've just got Peter asking me about the points. So 508 to you and 487 to Sid.
So 508
Yep.
to me.
And you're top of the list at the moment.
And Sid is 400.
87. You've also got Steve on 452 and Tim on 440. So a lot of people very close together at the top.
How exciting.
Um,
How exciting.
Okay, just attempting to get the table side view up. Peter and Sid. Peter with the Tang Chinese, Sid with the Parthians are just getting the table set up. While they're doing that, I will zoom this view so that we can see what's going on. So you can see the table being deployed with some woods, some hills. And the table is not, we're not using the to the strongest rules for setting out terrain. Each table has a choice of 5 battlefields, and there are different 5 battlefields in each table, and then the players go through a process to decide which of those battlefields they want to fight over. The idea being that this is much quicker than the usual terrain process. So they are currently sorting out the battlefield. And I am just attempting to sort out a live camera for the table side view because that gives us a nice view of the models. We could watch the battle like this and I could comment on it, but it's much nicer to see a kind of player view of the models. So we're going to add in a video capture and okay, this is not working very well at the moment, so I will temporarily leave you to go and fix the tech. I'll be back in a couple of minutes. Okay, we are just fixing the tech here. Right, that looks like it working okay. Okay, we are sorting the tech out. This should be a good game. Okay, we can see Peter deploying there, and he's putting his first command out. That's 2 units of light cavalry. That's his standard command, just to see what the opponent's doing and see what they're thinking. Okay, and here is our table side view. So we will keep the overhead view down in this corner, and we now have our table side view, which is how we're going to watch the battle as it progresses. Good, so this is Sid, you can see. He dressed for the occasion, former world champion, in fact current world champion. Waistcoat and tie, and he's got a Parthian army. The two armies that are facing each other are Parthians and Tang, and Sid and Peter have faced each other before. I believe on several occasions. So the Parthian army is half light cavalry, half well-armoured cataphracts with lances. And they're fighting against a Tang army that's a bit of cataphracts, a bit of light cavalry, bit of cavalry, and some spears. So a kind of contrast between an all-cavalry army and a mix. And Sid's deploying his first command over there. That's a couple of units of light horse with a couple of units of cataphracts and a heroic general. I was with him in the previous battle when unfortunately 2 of his heroic generals died, but the rest of his army did enough damage that he was able to win the victory. Okay, and here comes Peter's second command. So the light horse are hiding behind the trees in the foreground. This is his camp, and then there are going to be 3 units of spearmen coming with the camp. And the test for this is going to be whether the spears manage to take an effective part in the battle, or whether Sid's Parthians can take out Peter's cavalry without actually getting in contact with the spearmen. So that's going to be the interest of this battle. Peter's army is very thematic. We had a panda on the battlefield earlier, and instead of having hero figures, his units have tigers as heroes, which I'm sure is quite scary to the opposing troops. Okay, so there is the camp, complete with banners. And then the Tang mixed spears and crossbows are just appearing on the table, and they usually deploy in front of the camp, and then Peter can either step forwards or step back depending on the tactical situation. Okay. And Peter has all of his commands tagged up by colour, and he's just making sure that he's got the correct units deployed there. Okay, in terms of news for you today, this is a top of the table clash. We've got Peter and Sid fighting at the top, but we've also got several other players who could win as we go into the 4th and final round. We've got Steve Butler, we've got Tim Thompson with his Eastern Frankish, we've got Robin Morgan. Any of those have got a realistic chance of winning if they get a great victory. So maximum score in this round will be 200 points. Minimum score would be 0. And that's a balance of how much you destroy of your enemy versus how much you take in casualties. So anything could happen at the top of the table, and we could have a surprise winner. However, it is most likely to be one of these 2 players in front of you, either Sid in the waistcoat or Peter in the blue. And Peter seems to have decided that he's going to put his infantry inside the camp. Probably a wise precaution against Sid's army, which is very mobile and quite dangerous for his spearmen. Okay, here comes Sid's second command. So we have some cataphracts coming up. I think this will be another couple of units of cataphracts, and possibly some light horse with it. I like the way that Sid's arranged his army. It's quite tempting to... Oh, in fact, that looks like some light foot there, maybe. It's quite tempting to deploy commands of cataphracts and then separate commands of light horse. But I think Sid and I share the liking of the flexibility of having mixed commands, where you can have mutual support, and the horse archers can pour archery in, and then the cataphracts can charge and finish units off. So that looks like what Sid's going for over there. So we've got 2 commands deployed so far with light horse and cataphracts. Okay, Peter's just deployed his next command, and that's 1 unit of spears with additional crossbows and 2 units of cataphracts. And we will see what the eventual deployment is like. I haven't seen Sid play that often, but I know that Peter likes to weight his army towards one side or the other. Okay, so Sid is deploying another couple. I think that's going to be another couple of units of cataphracts over there and some more light horse. So that's a pretty solid wing going out on that side. Okay, so hopefully you can kind of see the strategies coming together. Yeah, Sid's army is kind of mostly linear. There's a gap in the middle, so I don't know whether another command's coming in or whether it's going to be split into 2 halves for a kind of envelopment. And then Peter's got a strong point in the centre with troops deployed in his fortified camp. He's got a couple of units of light horse hiding out here, which he describes as his distraction command. And then he's got his army starting to form a block from the camp up towards the other side. So it will be an interesting interesting contest here. If we look at the terrain, we've got kind of trees in the corners of the battlefield. Okay, and Peter's final command is going out at that end from the look of it. So that's 2 units of cavalry and then another 2 units of light cavalry going out on that side. And that is going to be... So you can see that Peter's army is very much weighted towards one flank, and he's going to plan to get his army against part of the opponent's army and try and secure an advantage that way. Sid's deployment is much more spread at the moment, but we'll see what he does with his final command. Okay, I might just see if we can get a some audio from the table, and
Oh, I see. So you get the senior general there because that's a suicide command.
Suicide command.
So, yeah, we've now got some audio from the table. We might be able to overhear some of their comments and see whether we get discern anything about the tactics and about how the battle's going to be fought. And we've got Sid's army's in two halves. Yeah, the light horse has deployed over here. I think that's where I would have put it, to take out this small light horse command. And I wouldn't be surprised if his cataphracts and light horse redeploy to be part of the other side of the army. But I'd expect a lot of this battle to be fought down the other end of the table.
Okay, last command. 3 units of light horse, bow, 1 non-heroic general and 1 light infantry bow.
Okay. So we're deployed. We are ready to go. And it will be Sid to go first. Okay, and the light horse have activated and they're coming right up the flank here in front of us. They can march because there are no units that can charge them or shoot at them at that range. Therefore they can move 3 squares rather than 2, and they're making the most of that to get across the battlefield. In fact, they're not marching. They could, but they're not. So I think that's just a discussion between the players that hill there, or that small rise, is blocking any shooting at the Tang light cavalry. Okay. And Sid is clearly intending to get his light troops into the action. So 3 units of light horse, 2 units of light foot. They should overwhelm the light horse that they're facing. And in TTS, in order to get a second activation, you have to beat the card that you played for the first one, and that too was not going to beat very much. Okay. We'll just have a listen to what's coming from the table. If you fail an activation in TTS, then you can replay the card if you've got a general with the unit. So we can see at that far side, Sid's advancing his troops. Well, in fact, he's just kind of moving across a little bit to make sure that he's covering the flank. He's getting his lights forward, I think with the idea of doing some harassing and putting some damage on before the cataphracts get in. Okay, here comes some more lights and cataphracts. So they're all going forwards. Quite a cautious advance here. They can move faster than that, but if you play an ace on the cataphract, when it's trying to move 2 squares, it gets disordered. So I think Sid is trying to make sure that his troops don't get disordered.
Over here, as a box, turn 1 and advance 1.
Okay, and as I suggested earlier, Sid is now redeploying his army, so he's going to make sure his best fighting troops are actually engaged in the fighting, and they are turning and marching because there are no enemy around. Oh, and that is looking like a fail, so failed activation if you don't get a card that's high enough. Okay, it's quite courtesy to offer to your opponents to cut cards, just to make sure that you're not cheating with cards or anything like that. And having seen what the Parthians are doing, Peter is now planning his response. So the Tang light cavalry are redeploying away from that flank. and the general is now escaping into the camp. With detached generals, they're able to move separately from the troops, so that general has abandoned those units, and I think Peter's hoping to get the light horse out of the way because it looked like they were going to be swamped by all of the light troops that Sid's deployed over there. And Peter's now trying for another move with those troops, but an ace never gets you anything. So moving across, it'll be interesting to see what he does with those troops in the camp. Are they going to stay in there? Are they going to advance out? Are they going to... he's moved on to another command, and that's activating and firing, but you need to get an 8 to hit when you fire, and that doesn't look like it was an 8. I think that's a 5, which isn't going to hit anything. So lots of cards drawn for shooting. And we appear to have a drunk photographer temporarily. So I think Peter's now considering what he's going to do. There's a unit of light horse out the front that's going to slow him up a bit, but nothing there that's really going to affect his tactics. So that unit failed to get another activation to fire. That means those cataphracts aren't doing anything either. But the cavalry, I expect, will be moving to take the space.
Rear extra crossbow? Spare extra crossbow.
So on the left flank, Peter's just considering what to do. He's got 2 boxes there with light cavalry and cavalry in, and I'd expect him to be moving them round to the flank to take the space. So the light cavalry have moved into the woods, and they will face off against the Parthian light cavalry. And I would expect the unit behind to be moving out to block the flank, otherwise that's a very vulnerable position. Yes, that's the next move that Peter's going to be making. Peter, of course, double world champion at TtS. Not so much luck in recent competitions, but was doing very well a couple of years ago. Also the Welsh Open champion. Okay, so that's some cavalry and light horse moving around that flank, just negotiating the wood at the end. And it looks like it's going to be a clash on that flank that decides the battle. So, are those spearmen in the camp going to be coming out, or are they going to be sitting there? It's a large part of the army that's sitting there doing nothing if they just remain in the camp.
I think it's general. Wants to be moved here. That's me then.
But that is indeed what they're doing, so we're back over to Sid, and it looks like Peter is just waiting for Sid to launch his attack.
You roll for the general. So I'm going 481, there's no armor safe.
Yeah.
Okay, and yep, Sid is consistently being very cautious with these cataphracts. They're moving forwards 1 square at a time. Again, if they if they draw an ace while they're moving 2 squares, they get disordered, and Peter would certainly take advantage of that. So, slow attack. We've got some shooting going on over there, but no hits from the look of it. So the light horse is shooting at the other light horse, and that's the end of that command. And in the centre, we've got 2 aces there, I think. Always a disappointment when you draw a double ace. It means nothing in your command is doing anything. So those cataphracts are just going to sit there and watch, and it'll be interesting to see whether Peter has an opportunity to take advantage of the lack of movement there. Oh, there goes another command. So redeployment of the Parthians, and they have successfully moved themselves over and redeployed. And I wonder if the camels are intending to follow them. So those units there are camel cataphracts or camelophracts. And the advantage of them is that the cavalry that are facing them don't like them. So you get an advantage in combat because of that.
Reroll for that.
Okay. And yeah, Sid's managed to redeploy to get a really powerful force facing Peter's flank.
The light cavalry infantry.
No, and they didn't get another move. So now it's over here to a lot of light troops facing nothing. They were facing the Tang light horse, which are now next to the camp. So there's a lot of light troops over here with nothing to do. And Sid needs to redeploy them and get some advantage out of them. And here we go, they're starting to turn and move
Those
across.
turn right and go into the wood.
Okay.
Those will go to there. My light infantry.
This could be a mistake because Peter's troops in the camp are armed with crossbows which have a long range and can damage lights. So there could definitely be some losses there, but he's taking advantage of the opportunity to move up and have a go at those light horses running away, trying to redeploy across the battlefield. So these are light troops having a
Okay, are you standing?
having a go, and I think the light horse have successfully charged them in the flank,
Yes, and the other one?
and they have both evaded, so they turn to face and then they back off. So those light horse have evaded out of danger, although I'm not sure where Peter's going to move them next. They do look like they're going to be overwhelmed and destroyed by all of these lights over here if they stay around.
These will shoot those. I need a 9 to activate, but I've got a reroll. Do I hit?
Now Peter has designed his army very cleverly, so those 2 light horse have a general with them, and
those in the wood will go
normally
left and forward.
if all of your command is killed, then your commander goes as well, so that would be a loss of 4 victory points for those 2 light horse plus the commander. But Peter's made that commander a senior general, which means that he commands the whole army, not just the light horse. That means if the light horse are killed, he still has a command, and he doesn't lose that general. So that's quite a clever part of the army design.
I guess it's
Right, so that was Sid's turn. Not very much happening there. Some unfortunate cards that means that he hasn't managed to get as much fighting as he would want. And it definitely looks like the main battle is going to be decided over the far side in a clash between the cataphracts of the Parthians and the veteran cavalry and the cataphracts of the Tang.
This unit is going to turn.
Peter's troops are quite secure in the camp, so it's fortified, which means that denies flank attacks and gives a +2 bonus to a save. And he's currently got 3 units of spearmen sitting in the camp. I don't know if that's obvious from the viewing. And that means that those units are pretty close to being invulnerable, about as close as you get in any war game. They're also armed with crossbows, and if units come within 1 square of them, they can throw stones, which means that they can activate to shoot without having to use up ammunition. In TtS, each unit's got an allocation of ammunition, and once you run out, you have to activate to replenish and send someone to the camp to collect some more ammunition, so it tends to slow your shooting down. If you're in the camp, you have an infinite quantity of ammunition, and you don't have to replenish, so it's not very healthy getting close to camps, unless you're going to do a heavy assault and kind of smash in the camp.
who's shooting?
He's going to shoot and retire.
Off table.
So this light cavalry is going to shoot and retire. This is one way of getting out of danger in TtS. You can move off the battlefield,
he is going to
and then
shoot
you
from
can
the
move back on again later on, which surprises some people.
Yeah, no. So that's a coin due. And I get what, 2 temporary coins, don't I?
And that is some good shooting from Peter. That's 1 unit of light cavalry from the Parthians that has just taken some arrows and died. So
Not come back later.
first blood to the Tang, who have killed off a light unit of Parthians with some fortunate shooting. And if it goes badly for the Tang, they could actually lose the battle on this side, because those light horse can go on and off the battlefield and they can sneak back on and take out 1 unit at a time and then pop off again. So we could well see the Parthians being overwhelmed over here in spite of having more units, unless they're quite careful.
One of these background is going to move sideways.
Okay, on the far side, we've got some units sliding sideways, which they're allowed to do as long as they activate high enough.
This is also red. He's going to activate shoot.
Okay, we've got some shooting going on there.
So that is red.
Or we hope to have some shooting going on there, but we've drawn an ace for activation. It's always a sinking feeling in the pit of your stomach when that happens. That means that that's all that command is doing. So we've got some shuffling around going on over there. Just redeploying units so you're getting the optimum matchups with your opponents.
Shoot and retire. No.
Activated to firing, but we're having a miss there. You need an 8 or higher to hit, and that wasn't it. And I think they're firing and retiring.
He is going to shoot and retire.
So we've got a
Activate.
fair amount of firing going on over there. Again, a 5 isn't going to get a hit for you. And just to remind you, if you weren't here when we started, this is a top-of-the-table clash between Peter riding with the Tang Chinese and Sid Bennett with the Parthians. Peter is on 508 and Sid is on 487.
Simon's blue. I'm going to activate to get more ammo. Yep, so he's back to 3. Pardon me.
And that's 1 less than is it?
Oh, I'm so sorry. Yes, so I start with 1, 2,
Okay.
3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So I'm now down to 9. Thank you for reminding me about that.
Okay, so we're just marking the replenishing ammunition in the camp, so there is a finite amount of ammunition. Once you're out, you can't fire anymore.
So he's on 5. He's
This
gonna
stops
activate more
shooty
ammo.
armies, or it enables shooty armies to do a lot of damage initially, but it stops them from winning simply by pouring unrealistic amounts of fire. So the kind of model for firing in TTS is that units might shoot for quite a short period of time, but they would pour loads and loads of ammunition, fire loads of arrows or javelins at once to create an impact and to disorder the opponents. But you don't have an unlimited quantity of ammunition, so you can continue doing that all the way through the battle.
As you've offered to cut, do you want to cut this small, inconsequential pack?
Okay, so it's currently, and again we're politely cutting cards just to demonstrate that there's no deck stacking being going on.
Opportunity. Forgive me for being commercial. A reminder that anybody watching, BritCon in August there'll be a TTS tournament, and it's on the BritCon website, a 2-day tournament, the only 2-day tournament for TTS. You're welcome. Done that. I've got to do that as the organiser. Right. Back in the real thing. Have you got a line of shot at those? Okay.
The logic being, if it was there, it would be just further back from middle to middle.
it's going to be interesting fighting around that tree over there.
Light cavalry will go.
So that wooded square is bad news for the shooting and the movement of the cavalry on both sides. Looks like an ace was drawn over there, which means no activations going on.
The entire box will go.
Right, and we've got some units moving up into the rough ground.
The javelin will go front right. Yes, they will.
And continuing to move. So we've got light cavalry making its way over to the flank.
Oh my god, that's scary.
And General's just taking some records for their scrapbooks.
This box will go forward one. I need a 9. They're going to try and take the wood. This command now, orange command. These will go diagonally into there as a box. Yes. Ideal. Two. These will go 1, 2, 3. The light cavalry will take real for the general. Over here.
Okay, one thing to note is that those cavalry that have gone off table, so Peter's light horse that are sitting behind his back line, they count against your victory coin, so they count as 2 points. So technically Sid is winning even though he hasn't done any damage yet, because 2 of Peter's units are off table. And if he manages to get enough of the rest of Peter's army, then they could count towards a victory. Okay, and here is the reorganisation going on over on that flank. I'll be interested to see how long those light cavalry last, given that the troops in the camp have crossbows and will be targeting them as a way of getting some victory points. Okay, so cavalry move 2, and you can get multiple activations by beating your previous card.
I hit. I have another ammunition from there.
It looks like some shooting at the camp going on without very much effect there.
And tone.
How was that all done?
Yes. Very slow and cagey so far.
Is there a general attached to that?
Yes.
So I would say that tactically Sid has got the edge at the moment. He's got his force lined up, so all of those cataphracts with some light horse supporting them. He's got them well positioned to have a forward charge with a big smash into the enemy, and his units are more solid, so Peter will be looking to get an edge somewhere in manoeuvre, but it doesn't look like that's happening at the moment. So he's having a go at shooting at that light horse, and they're just going to...
Save the unit? Yes. It's -1 for flank, +1 for skill, which is your damage out my saving. Got it. And the general?
Okay, so that was a hit, but it was saved by the light cavalry, so let's see.
Save that unit.
And that's another hit,
Pass it back.
and another save, so... Nope, that was some shooting from the unit on the end, and the cavalry did not save that, so that cavalry has gone. So that's 2 units of light horse that have gone from the Parthian army so far.
Do I hit? No. Oh, sorry.
That's a 7, that's not quite a hit.
Activate shoot. General. Do I hit? Yes.
And that's another hit on that unit in the middle.
General.
And that's another unit of dead light horse. So that's 3 units of light horse that Peter has taken out so far. The general is allowed to move away to stay with any other units in his command. So he's got 1 left, which is that light foot unit. If Peter can get that as well, then that will be worth 3 victory points, 1 for the Lightfoot and then 2 for the General, and that would be a big chunk towards winning the battle. So at the moment the Parthians are hemorrhaging light troops and not really having a huge amount to show for it. What might happen next is that those light horse that Peter had might come back onto the battlefield and then seek to take out this light horse. So here they're going to have a go. On they come.
This one on here.
And
No.
that one fails
So that
to.
command is done.
But they're going to come back on and they'll try and take out those light troops and then get round the flank of the Parthian army, which is ironic because the Parthians have got way more light horse than the Tang have. It's just that their light horse have been dying to crossbow bolts. Okay, welcome if you just joined us. This is the 2024 TtS World Championships. This is the 4th round, and this is a top-of-the-table clash between Peter riding with the Tang Chinese and Sid Bennett with the Parthians. It's going Peter's way at the moment. He hasn't lost any troops, and he's taken out 3 units of light horse from the Parthian army with some very nice crossbow shooting over here. So definitely the edge to the Tang as it stands. Both armies heavily weighted towards one flank, and we're waiting for the clash to happen there. But Peter is in no hurry. He's looking to get as much of an advantage as he can before that clash happens, and then he's hoping that his weaker troops will do just enough to carry him to victory.
I'm so sorry. Blue jet, shall I just show it up? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
I don't mind putting where you would.
Sorry, Billy. No, let me throw dice. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay.
Is it detached?
Yeah, they're all
So it
detached.
doesn't really matter, does it?
No, good point. So he is now sliding across.
Okay, and the Tang are continuing their redeployment. I'm honestly not quite sure what they're doing there, but they were reshuffling their cavalry last turn and they're reshuffling their cavalry this turn. I think that Peter is trying to make sure that whatever it is that gets hit first is going to be a cataphract unit, and therefore it's cataphract versus cataphract, rather than a Parthian cataphract versus a Tang cavalry unit, which would be in the Parthians' favour. So as I mentioned, he's doing very well at killing the Parthian light horse with his crossbows, and I think he's trying to put off the main clash over there as long as possible and make sure it's as favourable as it can be, given that the Parthian cataphracts are a lot more solid than his cavalry. So it's a bit cagey at the moment. I would expect to see a clash maybe in the next turn. Otherwise, both sides are going to run out of time to win a victory before time is called.
Tetris.
Yeah, I would definitely expect Sid to be advancing next turn and trying to do some damage. Otherwise, it's going to be maybe Steve Butler or Tim Thompson who are in 3rd and 4th position respectively. Tim with his Eastern Franks, he fought Sid in the last round and it was a very tough battle, but ultimately the Parthians turned out to be more powerful than the Eastern Frank cavalry.
I'm now shooting at him. Activate. 3. No.
The one thing you don't really want to be doing is to fight the Parthian cataphracts frontally, but Sid is a very good general and he's managed to manoeuvre, I think, all of his opponents in the battles I've seen. He's managed to manoeuvre them to fight against him frontally.
I've moved blue, I've moved red, I shot there. Yes.
Right, stow there, because it's so small. Drop back one.
Yep.
Yes.
Okay, the Parthians are retiring over on this flank where they've lost most of that command. Running away from the Tang Light Horse, and yeah, I think that might actually lucid the battle, what's happened over on this left flank. So they've lost 3 units of Light Horse. They could lose that last unit and the general, and that would be over half of his victory medals gone.
Like him to go straight into the wood and throw Japanese.
So I think he's thinking what I'm thinking, that he wants to be winning the battle over on that right flank before anything worse happens over on the left here.
Dark green command. There's the advanced one. Not ideal. They're going to chuck out the javelin.
Oh,
Yes, do I hit?
thank you very much.
Okay, so some shooting going on over there. There's Light Horse in the woods. Tends to happen quite a bit in TTS with cavalry armies because you don't really want to be putting any of your army in the woods, but you can't leave gaps, otherwise your enemy exploit it. So Light Horse tend to end up in the woods just to block the enemy off, and while they're there, they might as well have a go at doing some shooting. Yeah, and we've got a general advance across the centre, getting these cataphracts closer.
Turn left with the advanced one as a box.
And the camel fracts, the camelry with lance and so on, are moving over there as well.
Yes, do I hit?
You're being unlucky with those.
Just rubber
And
arrows.
the Light Horse are opening fire.
Try again. I didn't know. I've got to reroll anyway. Yes, do I hit? Yes.
Unit,
So that's
no. General, yes, he's not heroic.
so Peter's comment about not heroic there. A heroic general is hit on a 1 or a 2, and he just pulls 2, but his general is not heroic, so it's only hit on an ace.
Yes.
So that's a hit on that unit, and that's a charge from the Parthian cataphracts. So they're going in against the spearmen. Let's see how that goes. So that's going to be 2 cards for using a lance.
So 1 hit.
Do I save? Yes.
Yes.
And I hit back
That's a
on 8.
save.
Yes.
Do I
And
save
then-
the unit? No. The general? What's the general? He's dead. Oh, your general saved, by the way.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I beg your pardon. So anything but an ace. I make
Yeah.
it. Yes, I make it. I'm so sorry.
Well, that's
Okay, and that is unfortunate for Sid. His cataphracts charged in. They didn't damage the spears. They took a hit, and their heroic general died. So heroic generals die far more frequently than other generals. They allow you to replay combat cards, so they're useful in that sense. But the frequency with which they do die does allow your command structure to fall apart. And those damaged cataphracts have now withdrawn.
wasn't so bad.
So that's a very unsuccessful charge, and Peter must be very pleased with that. Those spearmen have done exactly what he'd hoped. They've blocked the cataphracts, and they've killed a general as a bonus. Okay, we've got probably some more cataphracts looking to get forwards, but looks like an unsuccessful activation. And that's it. Now, can Peter take advantage of the situation? So I would maybe be thinking about getting those infantry out of the camp and advancing, because he's taken out so many light Parthian units that he's now got a width advantage, and he could get out and start getting round on the flanks.
This guy's going to try and come back on. Yeah. No.
Okay, so to get back on the table, any unit has to get a 4 or more, and that was a 2, so that unit's failed to get back on the table. Okay, we just got our early results from round 4 in, hot off the press. It's Robert Smith against Martin Nichols, and that would be Robert Smith's Later Crusaders against Martin Nichols' Principate Romans. Robert Smith's Later Crusaders have beaten the Principate Romans by 13-3. So good result from Robert there. That was a bottom of the table clash, but a quick victory for the Crusaders, and that will be cheering Robert up as a last battle in the tournament. Obviously that's going much faster than our clash here. This is quite a cagey battle between two very experienced generals at the moment, with Peter having the best of it, having taken out 3 light horse units and killed a general. He's about halfway towards taking out Sid's army, even though it doesn't look like many units have disappeared. I think I'd probably be attacking more aggressively if I was Sid and trying to get those cataphracts in. They're really good once they're in combat, but they're not doing very much at the moment. I'm not sure that Peter is actually intending to do the attacking here. It looks to me like we're just continuously redeploying them there. And it looks like you're fighting a battle, but actually you're just distracting the opponent while you're winning elsewhere. So yeah, there's just a quick exchange of coins there. I make it that 5 out of 11 victory medals have been lost by the Parthians, and the Tang have 1 victory medal down because of that light horse unit that's off the table, but we'll probably try and move back on. Okay. But yes, I know Peter is generally an aggressive general, and the fact that there isn't fighting already, I think, means that he's trying to put off the clash as long as possible to get as much of an advantage as he can from having fought other parts of Sid's army. Okay, so we're having some more rounds of shooting going on here. So the light horse can shoot with the cataphracts, and the cavalry are lance bows, so they can shoot as well.
Right, over here. Easy go back one, and then left one. European General.
I think Peter may also be taking account of the fact that he's about 20 points ahead of Sid, and he's top of the table, so if he doesn't lose any troops and he manages to grind Sid's army down, he might actually manage to win even without an outright victory. Peter's top of the table, but he's only won 2 out of his 3 games, whereas Sid has won 3. But Peter is very good at not losing any troops. However, there's probably going to be a bloody clash up here with the cataphracts, which are moving up now. So I would anticipate this would get a little bit more interesting in the next turn or two. We might get a couple of charges in and some units and a decision.
Over there, activate to reblend.
Yeah, once they start replenishing ammunition, you know that they've done a lot of shooting, and definitely along the lines of
Yes.
trying to put disorder on before charging rather than going straight in there. They'll have to fight eventually because eventually they'll run out of ammunition. Or I suppose they could just sit and look at each other. Okay, really not very much going on. So Sid has retired on the left and then he's done a few rounds of shooting on the right. So both sides are shooting at each other but not getting very many hits. I think once one side gets some kind of an advantage, the other side will have to charge in or just risk being ground down by weight of bow fire. Okay, again we're politely cutting the cards as a courtesy. Okay, right, starting with the light horse, that's going to try and advance on, and this time it manages it. So Peter is now down to 0 victory coins lost at this point. And this light horse are considering moving around the side. I think they're going to go after the Parthian Lightfoot you can just see in shot in the bottom right hand corner, because they are worth 3 victory coins if Peter can kill them, although he might be thinking about getting round behind them and stopping them from hiding off table. Right, now if it was me I'd be getting those infantry out of the camp and
This guy is turning. No,
maybe just doing a
silly.
maybe just doing a bunch of shooting. That's a fail because trying to turn in a camp, it's a difficult move to turn and it's rough ground, so failed on 2 counts with that
So I'm
move.
going to start with Lou. Lou, we're going to shoot.
Okay, got some shooting going on,
Shoot, yes.
Do I say
and that's a hit on a 9.
yes? So basic 7, light 6, in colour 5.
Good save.
That's an,
He's going to shoot over the top. No.
that's some more shooting but with less effect.
He's going to shoot over the top. No.
And miss again.
So I'm on blue.
So 70% of shots are going to be a miss, so a lot of cards played without actually doing anything. And even if you hit, the Parthian Cataphracts are saving on a 5. So there's a good chance that your arrow is just going to bounce off. But it's still worth it for the time when you can do the hit and then get a charge in and smash a unit and create a hole.
So blue is down.
Is that the last ammo?
Sorry.
That's the last ammo, is it?
I'm so sorry, yes, thank you for the reminder. Yes. So blue is done, I've still got red. And I don't think oh yes, I tried that. Yes.
Yeah, so initial shooting was very successful for the Tang. More recent shooting has been a huge number of cards played without anything done. Okay, and that is, oh, just as I was saying that, yep, that's a hit on the light horse. That's another Parthian light horse dead. So that's 4 light horses that have been lost. Parthians have now lost over half their medals, so the Tang might be willing to have a combat soon and gamble on the Parthians losing another couple of units and breaking the army.
I'll activate I'm going to activate from 1 hour. I'm all done.
Right.
Yeah, so this is a very cautious battle, but the Tang are gradually building up an advantage. It's now 6-0 to them. And actually, if it stays like this, that's probably enough for Peter to win the competition. So he's probably factoring that into his thoughts as well. That he doesn't need to take the risk of going into combat and maybe losing some units.
Yes. Shuffle left again. Yes.
Okay, we've got some Lightfoot going and hiding in the woods, slightly off camera now.
Right, so.
But they are, I was going to say safely in the woods. It's not hugely safe, but it's better than being in the open when you've got light horse running around trying to shoot you. And having done that, Sid's now having to think about, oh yeah, more shooting.
Guys behind will rally. So activate, yes, do I rally?
No, it's a couple of attempts to rally. So that was a unit that charged the spears earlier and bounced off, losing its general killed. And I think has now rallied up and is preparing to charge again.
The horse archers will replay.
Okay, so the horse archers are replenishing ammunition.
Things will go forward again.
Or not?
Okay, I'm going to update the scores. So the first result from this round, which we got through a while ago, was Smith and Nichols. With Smith beating Nichols by 13-3, and that will change what the results looks like. So Smith moving up from down near the bottom to respectable mid-table, and Nichols, I think, unfortunately, is going to get the wooden spoon. I believe there is an actual wooden spoon that's going to be awarded.
So my guys in the woods will jump a javelin. Yes and no. They will replen.
Okay.
These will shoot those.
Yeah,
So yes.
there's more rounds of shooting going on.
No.
So the shooting's going to continue until somebody either runs out of ammunition and has another idea, or until somebody gets an advantage and we get another charge in that will hopefully destroy a disordered unit and precipitate a full-scale battle.
Hold on.
But both sides seem quite happy to continue skirmishing at long range. I think if Peter can kill off a few more light horse units, he'll be quite happy with that as a result. I know that he's been fighting Parthians because he was concerned about playing against Sid. He was worried this would be his toughest battle, and it seems to be going quite well for him so far, so I think he's come up with some effective strategies to neutralise the advantage of the Parthians.
Have you got an answer? Yeah, okay.
So far he's managed to avoid actually fighting the cataphracts, you know, with the cooperation of Sid, who hasn't charged in, and seems to be making the most of his army's extra shooting power to grind out victory points in, well, across the battlefield really. We had some out on the left flank, quite a few out on the right flank. Not much in the centre because the Parthian army was kind of split in two.
Sorry, these are which should be the this unit's going to go 1, 2, 3.
Okay, so we got some Tang light horse are now making the most of this flank over here, and I think they're going to cause some problems for the
No, he's going to go 1, 2, 3.
Okay, so yeah, the Tang light horse have got. They Tang light horse started off with 2 against 4 over here, but they were supported by the spearmen in the centre with the shooting, and that's been so effective that they've now got the advantage of 2 against 1. So yeah, if you manage to get cooperation between your different commands at the right time, even if you're outnumbered in an area of the battlefield, it can
He's going to try.
you can neutralise that and you can gain an advantage there.
Okay. Oh, yes.
No.
So light horse doing some moving forwards and then firing and retiring, so stay out of range of the enemy but get some shots in. Hit and run kind of tactics. Very appropriate for light horse. And there you can see their target, the final unit of the Parthian left wing, some light foot with a very, very nervous general hiding behind them in the woods.
And go one. No.
One thing you'll notice about the experienced players is they tend to consider their moves perhaps more than less experienced players do. So thinking carefully about where they can get an advantage, and they tend not to like 50-50 combats. So you might feel quite happy about sending your unit in against an enemy if there was an evens chance. But the experienced players tend to try and make sure they've got some kind of advantage before doing any fighting. So that's why this has been quite cagey. And they're also, of course, very good at looking at the battlefield and conjuring up advantages. So you'll notice that Peter has got his light horse behind
He's going to throw for ammo.
the cataphracts, and
So I've done
that means that those light horse are protected from enemy shooting. So light horse are quite vulnerable to shooting because they only have one hit, and if they're unlucky then they don't just lose a wound but they can rally, they die. And protecting them by putting them behind heavier units and effectively treating them as a rear rank that has some archery that they can pour over the top is quite an effective tactic. I would certainly say that that's why Peter hasn't lost any light horse, whereas Sid has lost quite a few light horse that were unprotected over on this left flank. We're not getting very lucky cards here either, so part of it is that the generals are being cautious and part of it is just that they're not getting the cards that they want to be able to do some manoeuvring. Right, okay, so this time round that unit has managed to turn, and I wonder if it's going to come out. So I think I would certainly be looking to get those spears out of the camp, and or maybe not, maybe they're just going to stay there and do some firing.
This guy's going to come forward.
Oh, no, we are coming forward. So the spearmen have been in the camp for the first half of the battle. They are now advancing out of the camp now that there aren't any light horse around, enemy light horse around. And I think they're going to try and get an edge over these cataphracts that are facing them by outflanking them on this side. I think that's what's going on.
Go for ammo.
Yeah, and Peter's making sure that all of his troops have ammo so he can get another round of firing in. I think he's hoping for a bit more disorder before the main combat.
This guy's going to try and come out.
Battle's been going on for over an hour now.
So all his friends?
He is going to shoot. No, sorry, just before I do that, I've got a jet. Yes, he's going to try and shoot. No. Did I do the yellow? Yes. Fine, I've all done. Thank you.
Yeah, so yeah, very cautious battle here. If you're just joining us, this is World Championships TtS 2024. This is the final round, and this is the top table. Sid Bennett, current world champion. Peter Riding, previous double world champion, fighting it out to see who's going to win. It's a very cagey, very tactical battle. We've had a lot of shooting, and I wonder if we're going to get the cataphracts in now. We might start getting some charges, and the Parthians might start getting the advantage. But yeah, so top of the table we got Peter riding Sid Bennett. That's what you can see in the picture. That's the Tang and the Parthians. We've got Steve Butler and Tim Thompson and Robin Morgan below that. So all of these players have won 3 battles, or won 2 and drawn 1 in their own favour. And any of those could be the winner depending on how things go, but at the moment Peter is doing quite well here. He hasn't lost any victory medals himself. The Parthians have lost 6, a heroic general died and 4 units of light cavalry, and I think that's been Peter's success today, that he's managed to take very, very few casualties himself while causing quite a lot for his opponents. Okay, we've got some light horse and cataphract edging forwards, or shuffling backwards. You'll see there aren't very many troops in the foreground. There used to be quite a bit of light cavalry here that was Parthian light cavalry, but it died to crossbow shooting. So the Tang have cleared out all, and this looks like a bit more excitement here. I think we're finally going to get the clash over on the right flank that's going to decide the battle.
First save, yes. Second save, yes.
And they've survived the cataphract charge and hit back with a lance with a hit and a miss.
I don't have any generals in that box.
Okay, so first of all, the unit, 2 saves, 1 and 2. Oops, the general, 1 and 2.
Oh, now, my thing. I get your general to make 3 more saves. Sorry, whenever your general makes a save.
So, 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, well done.
Okay, so that was a stratagem that Peter just played there. That means that if the general has to take a save, he has to take multiple saves, but he made them, so he's fine. It's just one of the stratagems that can give you an edge at certain times by killing off an enemy general, but in this case the stratagem didn't have an effect. Okay, so the Parthian cataphracts are now going in, probably all the way along the line, I would guess. Only if they cooperate with their commanding general, though, which they're not.
Do you want to do anything with
So
them?
that's a failed activation there.
You do
And we've got
anything with
some
them?
cataphracts advance. Some are still
Actually, they're happy as they are.
waiting to get their charges in.
Very good reason for that. I can't say in case Peter finds out.
And Peter has definitely got the edge here. Currently 6-0 ahead. It's whether he can turn that into an outright victory in the next 15 to 20 minutes. I would bring you some updates from the other tables if I could, but I think that my messengers are far too interested in what's going on at the table to leave it and come and tell me. So we're bringing you the top table, Peter versus Sid. It'll be interesting to see what's happening with Steve Butler versus Tim Thompson. So Tim has his Eastern Frankish, that's a whole load of lance-armed cavalry, and Steve has Sengoku Samurai, that's a lot of spear with extra handguns and some cavalry as well. I'd think that'd be a really interesting battle because the Franks won't be at all keen on fighting the foot that can shoot at them and have spears. And it was really interesting seeing Tim's battle earlier today. And then lower down with 5 and 6 we've got Robin Morgan and Adrian Downey, that's Parthians versus Medieval Irish. I would have thought that the Parthians had a significant advantage there because the medieval Irish have light troops that can just be ridden over. But it'd be interesting to see whether terrain played any part in that battle.
This one's going to go 3 straight forward.
Okay.
This one's going to shoot.
Okay.
No.
So Peter is shooting at those light foot, and we're hoping that a shot from them will eventually hit and might either kill the general directly or kill the light foot and take the general with them.
Turn and go 1. Okay. No. So that one's done.
And this is something of a masterclass from a double world champion in how to use the advantages of your army, in this case having a long range shooting from the infantry to negate your opponent's advantage, which was having a lot of very mobile shooting light horse. So the infantry have definitely had the advantage and have wiped out a lot of Parthian light horse, such that the Tang are now able to advance their own light horse across the battlefield and threaten the enemy camp and their lights and commanders in a way that probably Sid would not have been expecting.
This chap is going to go.
And the Tang are now advancing their spears out of the camp, and I think there's going to be a clash forced over here. At least if they run out of ammo there will be. At the moment they're quite happy to not take a risk and just to be shooting their crossbows at the enemy in the hope of disordering them and gaining a local advantage. But the next 15 minutes will be decisive here. One way or another the title is going to be decided probably at this table.
This champ's going to get ammo. He's going to shoot.
Yep, and we've got more shooting going on, so that's 2 commands finished. Peter's Central Command has done some shooting but hasn't managed to do any damage. Now, can that exposed unit of cataphracts out the front be wounded and then killed? Over there, Peter has got another unit of infantry, 2 units of cataphracts, 2 units of veteran cavalry with lance, and a couple of units of light horse. So and his cavalry have got lance and bow, so they can fire as well. So there is a ton of stuff over there that can do damage. But if you pull an ace, that does not help you at all.
No? Okay, so you take it. Wow. Oh no, I was only going 1 way.
You're shouting.
No, it's not charging. It's charging is camels. I think you're fine. Yeah, please do. I think charging is camels. But I think it's doing with cavalry. Let's check.
Okay, this is a rules debate. So camels and cataphracts both have disadvantages, but they're different, and it matters which is which. So camels, if you draw an ace while you're charging, you get disordered, and cataphracts.
And if you get wounded, it's an even better skill than it. So I have red. So red is the activation, so it's no general.
Very good point.
And cataphracts, the disorder happens if you move 2 squares. Okay, and if you draw bad activation cards, so aces or low cards if you're trying to do complicated manoeuvres that are difficult and require more than a 2 to succeed, then no matter how good your strategy is, you're not going to be doing the damage you're hoping. So has Sid now got the advantage over there, given that Peter's troops failed to act?
Positive acts. These, right. We need to go sideways. Perfect. Here, might be able to shoot overhead. Yes.
Okay, light cavalry having a shot down there.
Now make an armour save. That's how you do it. On the
Yeah, thank you for showing me. I wish it hadn't worked out quite like that, but thank you for showing me.
front light infantry will replen.
They won't actually.
And that's another ace coming out. So again,
Those greens.
if you get an ace for activation and you don't have a general in the square, your command is not going to be doing very much. Okay.
These will shoot and fall back. When we hit.
We've got light cavalry firing and falling back. I wonder if that means we're going to get cataphracts doing a bit of charging.
Replen there. Yes. Activates on a 5 to
Got
rally.
light cavalry replenishing ammunition because they've been firing lots.
To a rally. Woohoo! As they say.
Got cataphracts rallying.
Which command are you on now?
Shoot. Yes, do I hit?
Yes, I must apologise for the perspective. It would be quite nice if we were down the other end of the table and we had a close-up view of the exciting clash that has been just about to happen for about the last hour. But we have quite limited technology. You can see the shot of the wooden frame holding the overhead camera here, and I think if you wanted to do this properly you'd need a team of about 12 people and multiple cameras, etc., which we don't have. We have me and we have John holding the other camera, which is why it occasionally wobbles from side to side. Like that.
The light's going to turn go one.
Yep.
So are they going to take the camp? If they do, then that's another 3 points.
I can't take the camp. No.
No. So definitely worth a go. If you can take the camp, that's worth 3 victory points, and that would get Peter very, very close to winning. And he might even risk a charge at that point to get the final victory points. You know, you wouldn't mind if you lost a couple of units as long as you took out one.
He is going to go to there.
Okay, so infantry can't normally move that fast, but if there are no enemy around them, they can march, which means move 2 squares. And Peter has used the tang to clear so much of the Parthian army away from here that his foot are now marching.
General.
Okay, this is going to create real problems because once foot start marching, they're as mobile as cavalry are. And this Parthian army is looking very exposed here. So the Tang infantry are now all out of the camp and knocking their banners down as they do it. And the army that you would think was worried about being outflanked is now the one that's doing the outflanking. This has been a real masterclass by a double world champion in how to make the most of the troops that you've got. So the Tang have advanced out of the camp and are now starting to get round the flank of the Parthian army. And the Parthians need to get their cataphract into combat. Because that's how they win the battle. But I'm not sure how that's going to happen at the moment. Okay. That was some cataphracts that disordered themselves by drawing an ace for movement in the last turn, and they've now rallied that off, so they're fresh again.
I mean, you activate shoot. Yes.
So did you hit?
Yes, sorry. Sorry.
And that is
Looking grim.
another Parvian unit dead. So this tactic of just stepping back, staying back and shooting by the Tang is really paying dividends.
Wait for the charge. Charging on
We've got some charging going on over on the left flank.
Right, 7 units. No, I'll hit that.
Thanks very much. Yeah, we've finally got a bit of combat over there. So after an hour and a quarter of firing at each other, we have finally got our first combat.
Try and charge again.
Just got a result in.
Save.
So Matt Slade, Dylan Brown, looks like a high-scoring draw. So no result there. And I'll just update the scoring on that.
3 coins.
So that was 8-7 to Dylan. And that has moved Dylan up the table, but Matt slightly further up the table. So the Ancient British are currently in 6th position. I would have thought they'll drop off as we get more results in. And I think I'm going to get a steady stream of results coming in now. So hot off the press, we have Barry Lee versus Simon Purchin. So this is a mid-table clash. And Barry 12, Simon 11. So I would take it from that Barry just got the edge, unless they have both destroyed each other. Which I don't think they will have done. So we'll just get that result put in as well. So 12 for Barry and 11 for Simon. Yep, so Simon unfortunately not having a good day out, just been edged on that one. But that has definitely improved Barry's position in the table. Okay, and in our featured battle here, it's definitely going all Peter's way at the moment. So he's killed off 4 light units and a heroic general. It might be up to 5 light units and a heroic general, I think, now. So if he manages to take that camp next turn,
I'm going to try and charge. Now he can charge. So if I charge in, I can't use the last, but I get 1 chance in on a 6, and you say with +1 because you're in there. Okay, I will try and charge in.
Okay, interesting tactics here. Peter is now charging cavalry into light cavalry in the rough.
Back at you.
Okay, another result hot off the press here. Rob Avery winning draw against Roger Calderbank by 7-3. So let's get that into the results. So Rob Avery 7 and Roger Calderbank 3. Again, that's another mid-table clash, so that's not going to affect the results up at the top.
No?
But it is changing the way the middle of the table looks.
This guy will try and charge in again. General. I'm all done.
Okay, and yeah, Peter is very gradually and very slowly just securing his edge here,
Goodness.
providing he doesn't destroy his own camp. I don't know whether the opponent would take victory points for that if that got smashed up. But yes, Sid just hasn't been able to get any kind of an edge over Peter anywhere on the battlefield or do any damage, and he's just gradually shedding light units all over the place.
Your shooting has been absolutely unbelievably bad.
Just a comment there from Peter that Sid's shooting's been absolutely awful, so he just hasn't had the cards. Doesn't matter how good your strategy is if you don't get the cards to hit when you need them.
Activate to replay again. Shoot again. Reroll for general.
He's having a go at shooting at this light horse with his general, but nothing doing over there.
He will rally. No. Over here, he'll charge.
Okay, so lots of cataphracts going in for a charge now.
First one, yes. Second one, yes.
And doing some hits. Thank you very much. More scores just coming in. Tim Thompson versus Steve Butler. Looks like a very tight victory for Tim there. So top of the table, that could make the difference. With the way things are going on this table, that really could make the difference in the result. So we've got some more shooting and potentially some charges going in over there if we can get the keys. I'm just going to get this score put in. So this is Tim Thompson. East Frankish Army again gets a really narrow victory against Steve Butler. And
These will outturn the move one.
okay. No. Okay, sorry, I'm just being handed bits of paper and then things. Okay, so yeah. Steve currently in the lead on 543, Tim on 533, but we've still got Peter and Sid playing at this table, and Peter is definitely more than 40 points up at the moment, so it does look like a victory for Peter, unless something radically changes. So his caution and his steady sit back and fire, rather than getting involved in combat, is definitely paying off here. And I think that's an interesting lesson from a multiple world champion, that you don't necessarily have to win battles, even with the scoring system that favours damaging your opponent. If you can fight battles in a way that minimises casualties to yourself and you overwhelmingly cause more damage than you take, then even doing that regularly with draws can be enough to secure you victory in the competition. Especially, of course, if your opponent's cards are really, really awful. So looks like we've had quite a few exciting competitions or exciting games in this last round of the competition. We are now coming up to the final points. I think time has either been called or is going to be called, and we'll be having last rounds of fighting.
Why didn't you cut that? And then if you need an ace, you need to cut an ace on the top.
I know, it's all on that.
Do you want to turn it
Right,
over?
Peter saying that Sid needs to cut an ace to stop him from getting his first move into his camp. And there we go, it's all over. So that is a victory for Peter. Peter was top of the rankings in the last round, so that will guarantee that Peter Riding is world champion in TtS 2024. Very well fought battle here by Peter. He avoided the enemy cataphracts, he stood back and fired, and gradually just shaved away at the enemy units, and then got some light cavalry in to take the camp. So really great tactics from a multiple world champion. That is going to make Peter the 3 times world champion for the first time ever. So he has won 3 out of the last 10 years of TTS World Championships. And that last battle here was really a masterclass in how to make the most of your army's assets and to negate your enemy's best assets. So the Parthian cataphracts virtually didn't get into the fight. When they did, they were a little unlucky, and they were definitely unlucky with the shooting. But that is a well-deserved victory for Peter. That is going to give him the World Championship. Okay, that's it in terms of our reporting here. So I will put the results sheet up. And we will update the results as they come in, but we've finished covering our featured battle, which has gone to Peter riding yet again, with a Tang Chinese army. So a detached senior general with 2 light cavalry, a detached general with 3 spearmen and a fortified camp, a detached general with 2 veteran cavalry with bows and lances and 2 light cavalry, and a detached general with a spearman and 2 cataphracts. And that army has done extremely well in competitions this year, and there is nothing particularly, I would say, outstanding about it as an army. It's got a little bit of everything, but it has been extremely well used to make the most of what it can do. Okay, we did some interviews earlier in the day, but I don't think we'll be having any more interviews. So we'll continue streaming the results as they come in, and we may have an awards ceremony later, or we may not manage to get that online due to our leads not being long enough, which sounds slightly silly, but is unfortunately the case. So thanks very much for being with us and for watching that battle, and I'm sure we'll be posting the results up on the forum as well. Okay, results in Sean Dewitt and Colin Bright. So that is Sean Dewitt's Charmations against Colin Bright. That's inaccurate, actually. It's not War of the Roses Yorkist. I must update that. It's another Sengoku Samurai. Better get that correct. And Sean has lost to Colin, so Colin has won by 12-6. We'll just get that result in. And that will change how the middle of the table works. And another live score coming in. Adrian Downey and Robin Morgan. Adrian's got a victory there. So that is Adrian's Medieval Irish against Robin's what does he have? Robin's Parthians. So Adrian's done better against Robin's Parthians than he did against Peter's Tang earlier in the day. And let's just get that score in and see what it does to the table. So Morgan gets 4 and Downey gets 11. Okay, couple of 3 tables still to report results, but our live results so far. Adrian Downey's top, but I think Peter may have got enough to pip him to the victory. That's a surprising army there. So Medieval Irish, I wouldn't have thought that was a great army, but Adrian's clearly been using them very well. I think got 3 victories and a losing draw during the day, which is pretty good. So this is the table as it stands. We've still got 3 battles to report in, including the results from Peter's, although we know that was an overwhelming victory for Peter, which should move him up to a decisively clear win. So armies that are doing well, a really wide variety of armies doing well at the top here. Okay, just got some more results coming in, so I'll give you the updates on those. We've got that result from Peter riding Sid Bennett, so that was an 11-0 victory to Peter. I described it as a masterclass while we were watching it being fought. So we'll just get that in, and that will make Peter undisputedly the World Champion 2024, and we got results in from John Hillary and Michael Guest, which is a 9-all draw. So looks like that was an exciting battle, even if it didn't quite get through to a result. Yeah, Peter has got an impressive total here, and we've got the final result coming in. And that is a victory for Andy Powell against Howard Litton. And that's Andy with Dacians against Howard with later Carthaginians. So that is all the results now in. And the results table that is on the front is fully updated. So right. So there we have it, the results of the TtS World Championships 2024. Of course, they're not official until they've been announced, and they haven't, but they are displayed for the whole world to see. And I think I'm going to sign off now. For those of you who are just joining us, these are the final results from the TtS World Championships 2024. We had an exciting final round battle between Peter Riding with Tang and Sid Bennett with Parthians, and Peter managed an 11-0 victory. And those of you who were watching would have seen how Peter took no risks and just carefully took the Parthian army apart, victory medal by victory medal. Some of it is luck, which goes your way, but if you're a good general, then you manage the luck, and that is an overwhelming victory. Peter had 3 victories and a winning draw today, but the most notable thing is he lost a grand total of 2 victory coins across 4 battles, which was in his 12-2 win against Rob Avery. He managed 3 battles without losing a single victory coin. And if you can do that, then you probably deserve to be world champion.